Hello everyone, welcome back to Mind Body Speech, a video podcast by Speech for Success. We're a therapy clinic in Washington State of experienced speech therapists and occupational therapists who are dedicated to providing accurate and reliable health information. I'm AJ, I use they, them, and he, him pronouns. I'm an occupational therapy assistant here and one of the neurodivergent members of staff. Today, to celebrate Autism Awareness Month, we will be covering some very basic aspects of pervasive drive for autonomy, better known as pathological demand avoidance, or PDA. Now, before we get into details, you need to understand that writing the script for this podcast about pathological demand avoidance has triggered my own pathological demand avoidance issues. So I will be using my personal self-regulation strategies, my favorite fidget and my blanket, throughout this episode so that I'm able to remain regulated and keep working the rest of the day after filming this. So, what is PDA? PDA is a nervous system disability and a profile of autism or a pattern of behavior that is seen in autistic individuals. It is characterized by a very high drive for autonomy and extreme anxiety when faced with demands. These demands can even be ones we make for ourselves and things we really want to do, like brushing our teeth, taking a shower, or writing the script for this podcast. PDA was first identified in the UK in the 1980s and has gotten more attention across the world. It's not officially recognized in the US, but it has become recently unofficially recognized, and more healthcare providers and medical professionals are becoming aware of the pattern. So we're going to link a PDF below. This is the PDF. It's from PDA North America, and it's a fantastic handout on what is PDA. It's released by their executive director, Diane Gould, and is super helpful in breaking down the pattern. From this handout, things to know about the PDA pattern. The profile shares common traits with autism. They include differences in sensory processing, emotional regulation, lack of interoception, that's difficulty feeling what body sensations are happening in our body, including emotions, difficulty understanding social things, obsessive traits, and strong interests. We may focus on details instead of the big picture, including less important details, and we may have anxiety. Differences between the PDA profile and more traditional autism include an anxiety-based need for control, avoidance of everyday tasks. This includes avoidance of things that we like and want to do. We may not respond to rewards and consequences. Both can feel like pressure, often enjoy spontaneity and novelty, and don't like routines, unlike a lot of traditionally autistic people who very much dislike spontaneity and novelty and enjoy routines. We're also very interested in social interactions and can act very differently in different environments, and also we're more likely to make eye contact. PDA is not oppositional defiant disorder. It's not a standalone diagnosis, and everybody's kind of unique, so it's going to vary depending on people. Other important things to know about PDA is, as mentioned, there's a difference between internalized demands, which are things that I want to do and need to do, and externalized demands, which are things that you need or want me to do, or things you tell me to do. These triggers are different and unique, and to each person, as well as how we need to navigate around them. This is why working with a trained OT or OT assistant who can help customize a plan for you and your family is really important and helpful. Equalizing behavior is one of the ways that PDA individuals can offload some of the stress and anxiety related to losing control of a situation to cope with it more easily. Equalizing is when a person with PDA snaps or refuses to meet a demand, and it can look like a variety of things, but the end result is that the person with PDA participates in some form of behavior that restores their internal sense of autonomy. This is most visible in externalized forms of PDA, which is to say where a person has to equalize externally and have behaviors that are external from our body. It can be the form of a meltdown or even something like an argumentative or mean comment. And it's often indicative that our sympathetic nervous systems are in an active state such as fight or flight. Specifics of what things look like varies by individuals. Someone with internal forms of PDA might not have external behaviors. Instead, we may shut down, we may self-sabotage, or otherwise participate in more hidden types of equalizing behavior. Even though it's less apparent, internalizing PDAers are still dealing with activated sympathetic nervous systems, and we may still demonstrate freeze, fawn, and flop responses. Again, this looks different depending on person, and may also vary depending on context and environment. Some kids will mask their neurodivergence super well at school and internalize their demand avoidance while at school, and then blow up at their parents when they get home and have huge meltdowns as they equalize the stress from all of the demands that they face during their school day by blasting it onto their parents and caregivers. This is called post-restraint fatigue, and it can also occur with non-PDA neurodivergence, but for slightly different reasons. We've mentioned regulation. There's co-regulation, two types of regulation, co-regulation and self-regulation. As with most things, these look very different depending on the individual. Co-regulation is when the nervous system requires a second person to help bring the nervous system out of anxiety and stress response and into a regulated state. In other words, deactivate the sympathetic nervous system and reactivate the parasympathetic nervous system. This can look like hugging, this can be just sitting near someone calmly, or it could be somebody pushing through personal boundaries, poking. A lot of parents will describe behavior as like obnoxious, or like kids just being like a silly nuisance and just demanding their parent pay attention to them and connect with them on their interests or whatever it is that they are dealing with. Offering hugs and modeling deep breathing or playing together can all be helpful co-regulation techniques. These individuals need to see and participate in hands-on regulation of their nervous system. By contrast, someone who can self-regulate is able to use strategies to settle their nervous system. While self-regulation is the goal, it's important to remember that in high-stress situations, even those of us with excellent self-regulation strategies and skills may not be able to fully self-regulate and may seek passive or active co-regulation from others around us. Basically, we need someone outside of our own body to be able to signal to our nervous system that it's okay, we're going to be okay, we're safe, this is not the end of the world, and we are not facing an emergency. A very quick trick you can use with your family today if you suspect your kid might be struggling with PDA is to either ask questions or use declarative language. This might look like saying, "Can you help me?" Or like, "Can you help me put on your shoes?" Or "Can you help me put on my shoes?" "Oh, did you want to wear your shoes too?" Versus "Put on your shoes." "How late can you stay awake in your bed?" Instead of "Go to sleep," or "It's bedtime." "Do you want this shirt versus that shirt?" Instead of telling somebody to go get dressed. Introducing choice in a controlled way into as many areas of their daily routines as possible is key. Declarative language can also be helpful, although not all people will pick up on the meaning of this, so you may also need to demonstrate, like visually or explain. For example, "It's wet outside. I hate when my socks are wet, so I'm going to put on my shoes before I go outside." Followed by you proceeding to put on your shoes. This might also be followed by, "Oh, I don't want to get my shirt wet either. I'm going to put on a coat." This is in comparison to only saying, "I need you to wear shoes," or "Time to put on your shoes, put on your coat," and fighting with them to put on the shoes or coat to get outside. We're hoping to do future episodes further exploring the differences in PDA for children versus adults and have more easy tips and tricks to help with post-restraint fatigue and how to co-regulate, as well as answering any other questions you might have on what PDA can look like. This month, we also hope to continue to highlight areas of concern within the autistic community, including our previous clip, Myths About Autism and the Basics of Sensory Regulation, and future clips on autistic meltdowns. We hope to share tips and tricks that you can integrate into your family's lives today and that will hopefully make a huge difference. We love hearing from you, so if you have any questions or if there's a specific topic you'd like us to cover in the future, please leave a comment below. To close, we hope to promote compassion for those who may experience and interact with the world a little differently, and we encourage you all to check back in with us through April for Autism Awareness Month. We hope you found the video helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and visit our website for more information. Thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.